Hey everyone, I don't think many of you have seen me, but I decided to make a video of just like a walk around of my truck, what I've done, what I plan on doing. So let's get started. So to start out, I will show my electronics. So the first thing is I have two S-Pods. The first one is for like house electronics that aren't lights, and then the second one, if I could click, is for all of my lights, which I have a lot of overkill, like I like to do. I guess I can just shut this back off. So if we go under the hood, I can show my dual battery setup, and then we'll do a walk around of all the electronics. So first, what I have is the main battery is replaced with a Odyssey. And then under here, I have a 1350 I built a custom bracket and a heat shield so that we don't hopefully overheat the battery. So what we have is, first, from this battery, and if you look here, we have cables running all the way up into here under the fender, which is a red arc, which is on a breaker, which then runs up to the auxiliary battery, which then runs back to here, and then back to the red arc, so that we can isolate whatever we need to. And then additionally, straight from the battery, we have something that runs to this here, so that we can shut off all of the auxiliary power if we wanted to. And then we have two S-Pods. Again, one is running all of my lights, and this one is running like some house electronics. And then here's some fuse box of some hardwired stuff, like for instance the transcooler fans, which is here, the transcooler, which helped significantly. I can get some more information. I made this little custom bracket which holds all my electronics nicely. It is super tight in here. It's kind of a pain. And then I also have another breaker there, which is actually the cutoff accessory to the S-Pods. So for lights, what I have is Squadron Pros here, the Spot XLs, and some reflectors that fell out, which I'm going to redo here soon. The KC's up top, some S2 Sports in the roof rack. I guess I decided to save $2 for some reason, which is not really, those are fairly expensive. And then here on the rear, we have some S2 Pros up top, the work floodlight ambers, so people can kind of see behind me, snow, dust, when they actually do help significantly being amber, I've noticed, compared to like my buddy's truck. Then here in the bottom, we have some Squadron Pros for reverse. And additionally, we have some, here up into the top of the bed, you can see we have some cargo lights, which help a lot because the factory cargo lights aren't the greatest. And then on top of that, we have a plug here, which plugs straight into my tent, which I usually have a clip in here, but I lost it, so that gets sealed up. And then I know some people run up wiring up the front of the windshield, but here I decided to run it. It runs up, all my wiring runs down under the cab, up here for these, and then it also splits off, obviously. So when I pull my rack, I have this connector here. And then there's one more set of wires that run up, kind of behind the frame, back here. So for these, and then for my tailgate unlock, the pop and lock, and then also my compressor, which is inside of this ammo can here, and it routes into the bumper over here. So I think that's mainly it for the electronics. Yeah. So starting in the front for suspension, what we have is Baja kits, upper and lower. It's their long travel, which is more of a mid-travel kit, with some King shocks and King bypasses, which you can see here. In order to get clearance, I did, if you look here, there's usually the seam, which if you see, there's a couple slits, and then I beat it flat, and then down here I also beat that in about 1 inch plus to get good clearance. We actually do bottom out up here before the bump stop fully bottoms out. Actually, sorry, right here is actually where it bottoms out. And you can see, because it actually rubs the inner liner I made out of ABS plastic, which I guess I should have added. We do have these Fiberworks wide fenders, which are a lot wider, which is why I created those custom fender liners. The suspension's great. We do lose the sway bar, which is not great, but off-road it's significantly better. And then here in the rear we have again the Fiberworks fenders. I do have engine half spacer since I have the Z71, which is a bit narrower. And then going underneath, what we have is a custom Deaver pack made to hold all the extra weight of my boat, and some Kings with some 589 skids. And then here we also have the Baja Kits bump stop setup with these landing pads there. So when it was factory, the factory leaf pack on the rear had significant sway on the truck. I guess the front having no sway bar caused the rear to go unsettled, and what happened was my truck would be going, and as soon as I hit a bump, my truck would start doing this very, very aggressively, at times where it was completely undrivable. So, and I'm sure like all the weight, the 200 pounds of the deck, whatever's inside of there, which is a lot of stuff, none of this helps very much. So currently for wheels, we have these Dirty Lifes. They've been okay. If you look, you can see a few new bolts here and there on the B-locks, and because what happens is if you don't torque them down, which maybe I haven't done often enough, but I thought I was doing a decent job, they'll work loose and it'll actually pop the head off and break them. But I just ended up replacing those bolts, or tapping them out, replacing the bolts, and I think we should be good to go. And then here we have them racked in Falcon AT3Ws and a 35, 12.5, 17. These tires have been great. And this one just came off the front left, has quite a bit of uneven wear. I don't know if you can tell on the tread, because my alignment keeps getting knocked off because I keep breaking the alignment tabs on those concentric washers or whatever they are. Another thing here in the rear, we have the Expedition 1 dual swing out and a hitch because I'm too lazy and always forget to pull it out. And then we have the Pro Eagle jack. On the rear we have the Lightner Designs active cargo system with 3 diesel roto packs of water, and then the gear pod. And the gear pod is where I keep my recovery gear, because hopefully no matter what kind of position I'm in, that should be fairly accessible. Up top I have the shovel, which I usually remove. It's the overpriced Crazy Beaver shovel. And then on top of that I have the what brand is that? The hard case, which is gonna eventually house my spare axle, tie rod, etc. And then for now, ZR2 sliders. I do have some aftermarket sliders which are in my garage. SOS Off-Road, I believe, is the company. I always get them mixed up. In the front we have the 589 Fab front bumper, which has worked amazingly, housing the Warn 12S winch, which is super. It'll pull pretty much anything. I did have help pull out like 3500 Dodge in the dunes with a trailer to fully load it out. But yeah, I think that's most of it. The truck has a lot done to it, but there are some plans coming. So there are some changes coming to the truck. I'm going to get rid of the rack, most likely, and either go with a shorter rack, a canopy, or no rack whatsoever. Additionally, I may get rid of the rear bumper so I can get a high clearance, and throw the spare in the bed or on the high clearance rear bumper if I go with the swing out. And then I may also get rid of the deck. The thing here is, what I really want to do is get rid of some of the weight of the truck, just because I found that the dunes are crazy fun, and I do want to jump some more and see what else we can do with the truck. If I do that, I'm going to end up going with the spring under, most likely. With the current setup, Deaver didn't recommend going spring under because of all the weight. So I ended up going with the traditional spring over. It has done great. It helps significantly over the stock setup. but it is a bit stiff. So there's kind of a sweet spot of how much weight I have in the rear, and if it's too soft or it's too hard. So as you see it right now, last time I went to the dunes, I did have the tent on it, and that's when I bent my frame. So all of you complaining about the frame, so what I ended up having here was, I used to have like a significant gap here, which was like 3 or 4 fingers wide. What I did was stop crying. I sent it to a shop. I got the frame straightened out, and then we came up with this bracket here. Well, I came up with this bracket here. If you can see here, we have this here, which it goes behind this bump stop, and it ends right there behind the bump stop mount. And what it is I think 3/16 steel, and then you can see it's welded all the way around, and then also around here, which is a tie down point. After that, the frame seems a lot more solid. I may still create another reinforcement, which is all the way back here. The reason I didn't at the time was because of this complicated bracket here, which holds the bed in. And then here in the rear, you can also see I did make some fender liners as well. Besides that, I'm also going to get rid of the tent probably up top and start using a ground tent. And I have noticed the front may be a little soft. I don't know if it's dampening or if I should go with a heavier spring, but I may play with those numbers some after I talk to King. So here you can see this is again the transmission cooler, which is a C-Trab 25 row. It has dual spall fans, which are kicked on by, I believe, a 190-degree thermostat, which is in the line that goes from the transmission into the factory cooler. Then from the factory cooler, it runs into it, and then out it goes back to the transmission. This was fairly easy install. The bracketry is what took a little bit longer, but it helps significantly with the temperatures. And I no longer overheat because my truck's a heavy boat. But I did find that it helps significantly, especially when using 4-low and crawl